This course teaches you about safety, trail etiquette, winching, off-road recovery, and kind of hits all the different points of getting you out. The options available for you and your vehicle in our area. You can get out and you can hike, you can get out and ride a bike, you can get out and drive a vehicle. But anywhere you can hike or bike only gets you so far. I'm a person that likes to get a little further than that and then still get out and hike. And a Jeep does that perfectly for me. It allows me to get out to places that you don't see a lot of people, where you don't see a lot of traffic, but places that not a lot of people get to see. I think it can be very dangerous, but it can yet be very fun, and it all depends on being properly equipped before you hit the trail or before you get out. All off-road vehicles are either two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive. The difference is two-wheel drive is either the rear two tires or the front two tires that have power given to them. An all-wheel drive car could be all four wheels tires have pressure going to them. However, the difference between all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive is that a four-wheel drive has what's called a part-time transfer case. So it takes you from high range to low range. When you're on the road, there's less resistance in your vehicle driving down the road, therefore the gears are set up that way. When it comes to off-road, you're doing short runs at steeper hills, bigger graded hills, things like that, which need a lower range of ratios in your transfer case, which is your four-wheel drive. Back in the day, they had what's called manual hubs. Manual hubs are what engaged your four-wheel drive. So not only did you have a shifter for your transmission that puts it in the vehicle in reverse or in drive to go forward, you have a second lever, which is your four-wheel drive, which shifts your transfer case. That's what takes your vehicle from two-wheel drive to four high to four low. Because of technology, on newer vehicles, they don't all come with manual hubs anymore. They have automatic hubs, which engage automatically when you pull the lever back into four-wheel drive. An advantage to a manual locking hub over a automatic locking hub is if you were to break a component on a manual hub, you can actually get out and unlock that hub so that the axle's not turning, creating more problems while driving off-road. But then they make what's called lockers, and there's different styles of lockers, from lunchbox lockers that just replace your side and spider gears, which are not as friendly on the road for daily drivers, or they make what's called selectable lockers. Selectable lockers either require air or electric, and the advantages of a selectable locker is you do not need four-wheel drive all the time. As a vehicle makes a turn, the reason you have an open differential, which is just normal four-wheel drive pickups or vehicles, the outside tire turns more often than the inside tire. That way you don't hear your tires squeaking everywhere you drive all the time. But if you engage a locker, both tires turn equally all the time, which gives you true four-wheel drive. In 2003, Jeep came out with factory lockers, which required you to be in four-wheel drive before engaging. Because of the aftermarket world, we can put lockers in almost any four-wheel drive vehicle out. Thinking about that, you do not want to engage your lockers as you're driving down a road, or when one tire is spinning rapidly, you would not want to go ahead and engage it because they're gears that line up. So you want to either be going slow or stopped in order to engage your lockers. The disadvantage of a locker is it does take away your steering from you, because each tire is now pulling on the front end and letting the tires go the direction they want together versus just the tire with the least amount of resistance having power. So that's where a selectable locker comes in. You can disengage it and have it back to just like factory, not knowing it's there, or there when you need it, when you need true four-wheel drive in a bad situation. Airing down your tires is number one, helps your ride quality. So it helps keep the Jeep together, the off-road vehicle together. When you're on those washboardy roads, when you have a full tire pressure, It's kind of like a basketball. When you throw a basketball at the ground, it bounces right back up. Well, what's your tire doing when it hits those bumps? It's trying to bounce back up versus just absorbing the little rides. So when it's sand, it helps float on the sand versus dig into the sand. When it's snow, you want to float across the snow. You don't want to dig into the snow. In the rocks, it's kind of tricky because sometimes tire pressure depends on the size of the lift you have. Generally speaking, dirt roads is between 15 to 18 PSI on your tires. All sizes, all kinds, 15 to 18 PSI. When you jump into sand, it could be anywhere from 12, and I say 12, 10 to 18. Highway is depending on, the weight of your vehicle and the size of your tire, and it could be anywhere from 25 to 45 and sometimes even 85 PSI, but generally not on an off-road rig. So for $15, you can jump into a Terraflex style keychain air down that always stays on your keychain, and you thread on the valve stem. As you thread that down on the valve stem, it pushes, it essentially works like a key on the valve stem would. It pushes down on the core of the valve stem to let air pressure out. Still requires you to have a gauge that you stick on and check your PSI until you get to the pressure you're wanting. The second style is an automatic one. If you think about, hey, I'm gonna be going out once a week for the rest of my life, or at least a couple times a month, you might look into getting automatic air downs, because as you walk around all four wheels and you're always checking them four tires, it's nice to be able to just thread something on, set a pressure, walk away and know that it stopped at the PSI you set. If you're like me though, you're not always running the same kind of material. So some days I'm in sand, sometimes I'm going down a dirt road. So my tire pressure almost requires me to have two different kinds. I have one that I just thread on my keychain and it allows me to let the pressure down so that I can go from 14 PSI because I was on a dirt road. Now I'm gonna run sand, I drop just 2 more PSI. It's easy just to thread some on your valve stem. But if I'm just going to the sand dunes, I usually like taking what they call as an easy tire deflator that you thread on, and it actually removes the core of the valve stem tire and it captures it and holds it in there. That allows you to let a lot more air pressure out. Rather than just pushing on it, you open it up and it actually lets a lot of pressure. When you're done off-roading, you gotta air back up. Airing back up is one of the most important things you can do for your tires on road. As you're driving a lot of miles, low tire pressure can cause uneven wear on your tires. If you're just going 10 miles, it's not gonna be a big deal. If you're driving 50 miles, it's very important. Tire repairs. It's not if you're gonna have a tire failure, it's when you're gonna have a tire failure. Because it's the only thing between your vehicle and the road, it's important to have the tools to get you back on the road. So when you get a tire flat, it depends on the size of the hole or what caused the tire failure. First and foremost, usually it's a stick or a cut in the tire. If it's in the tread, it's fixable by a patch, which you do not normally do on the trail. They make what's called a plug kit, and you can stick rubber plugs in, and depending on the size of the hole as to how many plugs it takes to fill the hole. Of course, you still need air pressure and an air compressor to air back up after you plug it, because it's obviously flat, you're able to plug it and air it back up, and that's a temporary fix. The other options you got is changing your tire, putting your spare tire on. If you have a fifth tire, some people don't, some people do. If you're going out in the hills, it's always good to have a spare tire. When it comes to changing your tire, every vehicle is different. So they make a lot of different style of jacks. You have your factory OEM scissor type jack, you got a bottle jack, you make a high lift jack, or they make a floor jack. When it comes to off-road recovery, there's a lot of different tools and methods. But if you were coming into my store to get educated about the proper things to have, I would start with as simple as a tow strap and a heavy enough tow strap for the vehicle's, at least your vehicle size. Don't buy the cheap ones that break, buy quality. When it comes to safety, that's very important. No factory off-road vehicle comes with a winch. So a winch is an aftermarket upgrade that you could add to almost any or all off-road vehicles. A winch is a electric motor that winds up a rope or a cable that pulls your vehicle in, essentially. The advantages of a winch is it's much safer when going to pull someone that's in a bad situation, a vehicle that's almost rolled over, a vehicle that's stuck in the mud. It allows you just at the fingertips to have full control of how much movement those vehicles have, unlike loose terrain and a strap and two vehicles just pulling and going whatever direction they get traction. A winch, you can actually, doing it properly, can use a snatch block and pull from a different point to be safer and more controlled and do less damage when recovering a vehicle. Rope is safer. Rope is actually stronger pull for pull. Steel cable, when it breaks, it has energy and it sends that energy. So if a cable breaks, it can shoot off and hurt someone, which is why they make bags that go over it that you fill with dirt to keep the tension to try to help that. In my winch bag, you'll find a 20-foot strap, a 10-foot tree strap, multiple D-rings, gloves, and my winch remote. Safety is very important. If you're not safe, it's not fun. It doesn't matter how much fun you have, it doesn't make up for the safety precautions you didn't take. Safety is letting people know where you're at, when you'll be back, and taking proper things out like the amount of water and food that you need for the trip you have planned. Possibly a satellite phone. I myself would carry a gun if you're going out in the hills by yourself. At the same time, there is other things and other ways to protect you while you're out there. The 5 must-haves when going off-road is a vehicle-specific toolkit, food, water, some form of communication, and a first aid kit. Trail etiquette's a very important part of off-roading. Tread lightly, which is don't go break down new trails and go do that. It's staying on the trail. It's picking up the trash on the trail, so make sure you have a trash bag. Be courteous to others. If someone's coming up behind you, don't make them eat your dust. Pull over, let them pass by. Know your area and the rules in your area. For example, Sand Hollow requires a flag 8 foot off the ground with a registered and safety vehicle. All other dirt roads in your area, except for private property, is going to require by the state and the feds is having insurance and a registered vehicle while on public roads. If you're going on somewhere like Sand Hollow, you can go to our website, dixie4wheelDrive.com/map, and download a map to your smartphone or your tablet. It allows you to track and keep you on track and tell you where you're actually at on the mountain and keep you on the trails so that you don't get lost. Another advantage of our map is you can actually drop a pin at your favorite location, such as an obstacle or where you broke your vehicle. When you drop that pin, you can click on it and actually send that link to our shop, and we know exact GPS location of where you're at and can help get you back to safety or help get you parts if we need to.
I'm Tara, the General Manager of Dixie 4-Wheel Drive. I want to thank you for coming out today. I hope you learned all the basics of the off-roading world. Now I want to invite you to our next course, which is 101 Behind the Wheel, so you can actually experience what it's like to drive your vehicle off-road and experience our great terrain. To sign up for the next course, please go to our website, which is www.dixie4wheeldrive.com, or go ahead and call one of our experienced guides and they will help you get signed up. We look forward to seeing you out experiencing all the great trails Southern Utah has to offer.